You are listening to the Two and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
It is Travis Currah, Sheldon Jones, the Two and Out CFL podcast, and we're bringing you a special episode today. I'm not even going to tease it anymore. I'm just going to bring him right into the show. One of the, I'm going to say it, hottest free agents in the CFL offseason, AJ Ouellette. I guess technically a Toronto Argonaut right now. He's been there since 2019. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
I guess I got to ask you, you've been with the Argos since 2019. What is the mindset of you or any CFL player really going into free agency? It's kind of a hectic time, I would say.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Last year when I entered free agency, I pretty much knew I was going to be back with the Argos. I didn't have a full season. But going into this year, I kind of just left everything open and prayed on where I should be and kind of let God talk to me. And of course, Mace getting the head coaching job there. He's going to be a phenomenal coach, a true leader of men, a great example of what you look for in a coach. And then Coach Ed, my running back coach for the last 2 years, is now the O-line coach there. So he's going to have that O-line ready. They're going to be a mean group, and it's going to be fun running behind them.
Yeah, the news came out during I guess we call it the communication period in the CFL, that you're going to be one of the newest members of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now, I know you've been in the CFL for, 4 or 5 years. You haven't, you've played in Saskatchewan. What do you know about the environment, the city, the atmosphere? I think you know what you're getting into a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I didn't get the opportunity to play in Sask until the Grey Cup. I was practice squad up and down. Like I wasn't on the roster every time the Argos were out there. So Grey Cup was the first time I got to play in Sask, and I fell in love with the stadium right there. Just the atmosphere. I get it was the Grey Cup, but just like the atmosphere was amazing. Granted, it was freezing, but I'm a power back, so that kind of plays in my favor. And then, we know how that game turned out. So I had to, start off on good terms there in Sask. And then last year, this past year, I played and got my 1,000-yard game there. So, I played twice, 2 memorable moments. I'm excited to add many more.
And your first few years in the CFL, you grinded it out. And then even in 2022, if I can remember that season correctly, there weren't many rushing touchdowns with the Argos until that Grey Cup when it mattered the most. And then last year, it's like there's no missing AJ Ouellette anymore. Like the AJ show is on now. You must have been hungry and kind of, waiting for that opportunity. In the last, year and a half, it really changed for you.
Yeah. Last year, Andrew starting the year, he was still trying to learn our system and learn the schemes and all that. And we kind of were trying to figure out what our O-line was good at, running the ball wise, and what me and Andrew kind of could morph together to figure out. Ended up being week 3, 4, I got cut, but brought back. And he got hurt week 7, week 8. And, luckily I was still there to take over. And I'd say a couple games after I took over is when our whole offense kind of started taking shape. And that's when we started getting electrifying plays and rushing touchdowns and all that.
What a change. Like what went through your head when you were cut during that time? Now it's just a completely different 180-degree situation. Like, did you think maybe this is it for me in the CFL?
100%. I got cut, and my career was up and down on practice squad up until then. And then I got cut, and I was like, yeah, NFL didn't work out. Tried my best in the CFL. Luckily, like my mindset was I have this wonderful gym back here in Ohio that I can, come back, run, and just be a coach. I was on my laptop booking a flight back home and got a call from Pinball. Like, hey, this was 3 hours after I got cut. Hey, can you come back? We had an injury. Javon Lee tore his hamstring that day at practice, and they needed a American running back to come in and fill in for that next game. Drove back. Was still kind of just angry at the whole situation of never really getting an opportunity to play and then just getting cut. But when they needed me, they called, and I couldn't let hard feelings kind of get in the way of still chasing a dream. So I signed back with them, but I signed for a little bit more than what my current contract was before I got cut.
It worked out.
Yeah, yeah, it was just a nice little pay raise within 3 hours.
Yeah, that's an amazing situation. But when I look back at last year, 16 wins for the Argos, it does seem like there was an incredible group there. But then, things change. Teams that win 16 games and are championship contenders, you can't hold it together all the time. How is your off-season, other than the free agency stuff? You're a big power guy. Like, you don't like to go down on the first tackle, anything like that. What's the sort of recovery period for a running back once the season ends? Or are you just right back in the gym, or what?
We were straight back attacking what we needed to. I was coming off of a little bit of an ankle sprain I was battling with the last 2-3 games of the season. So immediately got into a physical therapy group here. NovaCare. Lou Folenkamp is the physical therapist I work with. He's freaking amazing. Comes in here, works with our athletes. But we attack that just like we attack our games and our game planning for the week. And then on top of that, you add in your programming for what you think is going to be the outcome. So for me this offseason, I was kind of hoping for an NFL tryout. So I was planning my programs of, okay, I can't just prepare for May. I have to prepare for possibly getting a call and in 24 hours go run a 40. But now that window is kind of closed, NFL, is kind of out the window. It is programming for May, making sure I'm at my strongest point, fastest point when training camp comes.
Now, I think we'll let Sheldon get in here, because in the last, I'd say, year or so, we've gotten to know different and fun sides of your personality, whether it's celebrations in the hammer or it's clips of you in the squared circle. I'm wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt right now.
Yeah. That's who I watched growing up.
Oh, nice. Now, is wrestling, it can't be new to you, right? Like, this is something that is, a passion of yours for a long time, or how did the thing come about?
I grew up watching wrestling, got away from it in the middle school, high school, just kind of stopped watching TV altogether, just kind of focusing on sports. But a good buddy of mine who lives down in Athens, where I went to college, at Ohio University, he called me up 2 years ago. He's like, I have a wrestling event at Greektown in Toronto. Can you make it? I had a game the next day. I'm like, I got to focus on my game. I'll be able to do it. And then he calls me this past year, and said the same thing. I'm like, dude, we got to buy. I'm going to be there. It was on a bye weekend. I think it was week 1 of the season. We had a bye week one. And he pulls me in. I was supposed to just be in the corner cheering, just being an Argo there. And I'm watching all these wrestlers warm up, jumping off the ropes, doing flips and all this stuff. I'm like, can I get in the ring? And they're like excitement but panic at the same time. Like, if you get in trouble, or if you get hurt, we're in trouble. And I'm like, don't worry, my feet will stay on the ground. We'll keep it simple, football tackle. Done that 1,000 times. That's kind of how the wrestling came about. And I'll be back in Toronto, Greektown, March 9th.
Okay.
For another show.
Nice. Nice. So when you got back from that, was there any like blowback from like pinball or anybody? Like once it kind of blew up online that you actually were there and doing that stuff?
No, everybody in the organization was pretty cool about it. They wanted
Nice.
videos of everything.
Nice.
They're like, they said, football don't last forever. You need something after, and they're like, whatever we can do to help, just you're not allowed to get hurt. I said, don't worry, we're
So
done. Don't worry, Vince.
so I don't know if you know this, but one of your, I guess, future teammates, Lake Corte Moore, he actually had a WWE tryout earlier on in this off season. So maybe we got a new tag team, and we have a local kind of like not local Regina. We used to have one called High Impact Wrestling, but there's one out of Winnipeg called CWE that comes through here once or so a month. So maybe they'll reach out to you, and maybe you can, you know, put on lace up the boots here too.
Let's say we can run the tables as a tag team. We can
There you
have some fun
go.
out there.
So are
What
you
kind
up?
of?
Are you
I
up
just
to?
want to ask, like, what kind of skills, like, uh, translate? I mean, you haven't. I don't think you've had, a 60-minute Iron Man match or anything like that. But can you take something from wrestling and bring it to football? Like I've talked to, for example, Nick Lewis, CFL legend, and still coaches in the league, and he was a wrestling fan too, and he thought or saw that, the personalities that the wrestlers brought to the screen could bring it to the football field and maybe enhance some of these rivalries a little bit. Could you bring that to the gridiron, maybe against those pesky Bombers on Labor Day?
No, like for sure, I can relate to that. The wrestling kind of it forces you to bring something out. Even if you fake it at first, it kind of just becomes natural towards the end of the match of who you're going to be and a new identity. And that kind of showed with the rivalry, I guess, with the Hammer and the Hammer this past year, because I think that just kind of took over in my mind. Was I'm back in the
Wow.
in the wrestling ring, and we're having fun. And it wasn't until I saw the flag that I'm like, shoot, I kind of messed up there.
That's a penalty that's worth it, I think. That's like when John Gott chugged the beer after in Ottawa there. That's
Yeah.
that's worth it, you know. So when you mentioned the you have a gym there. So what's on your playlist while you're working out in the off season there?
I got country. It kind of just depends who's in here working out with me. I normally just ask, like, what do you want to listen to? Most of my coaches are country. So this morning, I think it was 90s country. We kind of got a Toby Keith theme going on this week. So
Yeah.
Tribute.
that's been,
Yeah.
yeah, we've been rocking some heavy lifts to Toby Keith this week.
Nice.
But from my Hammer post, Colder Wall's a favorite of mine that we're listening to.
Local boy.
Zach Bryan.
Yeah,
and all
from
that.
Swift Current. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to wrestling here, are you still watching? Like, you still a fan, or did you like of the current stuff?
I don't watch too much of the current stuff. I
No?
kind of keep
Okay.
up with the guys that I've met wrestling.
Okay,
Because
cool.
they're chasing a dream. They're working their
Right.
tail off. Like I want to help them. I want to support and cheer them on. And it's cool seeing some of them. They basically sign contracts to go to like the next step.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's fun watching that journey because like I've been through that process. I'm trying to figure out where you want to play in college, being a walk on, finally getting your scholarship, trying to make the NFL, going to the CFL, getting cut, going back. Like I can relate to them, and it's just awesome to see.
Nice.
Now, Sheldon, do you have that hammer handy?
Of course.
Were you
Always.
aware that they were selling that like before Christmas?
Well, I was aware. I was the one who put the tweet out. We have a friend who works at the rider ticket office, and she gave us like a friends and family discount card. And so we were going in there, and I saw this, and I'm like, man, imagine if AJ was playing for the Riders. They would sell like thousands of these. And so I sent out the tweet there, and then a buddy of mine was in a text group saying that, oh, the Riders are tampering. Like, come on.
So, like, I don't know. I can picture AJ, you running out of the tunnel with like a green and white hammer now. Like, where does I am assuming that you love comic books. So, or where does the superhero love come from?
Just kind of growing up as a kid, like you want to be a superhero, and I always like every year it was someone different, like Batman. I want to be Iron Man. For the longest time, I wanted to be Captain America. And then I grew out the hair, and as soon as I bleached it, everyone was like Thor. I'm like, all right, if you're calling me Thor, I'll be Thor. And then my nephew bought me the hammer.
Okay.
He's like, keep this in your locker because a bunch of players have like superheroes, like Wolverines in some guys' lockers. And I was like, yeah, I'll be Thor this year. And he bought me the hammer, and I took it to Hamilton with us that game, and blew up after that. So that thing's going to follow me everywhere.
Wow, yeah. So I guess that's coincidence that the Riders sell, those green and white.
Cool thing I saw. I'm like, hey, it might have to be.
That seals it. So Sheldon, I think, did you have like a word game that you wanted to try with AJ? Like I don't know, like is there a superhero you could mention, and then maybe what CFL player would relate to that, AJ?
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought that up. So I did have a few. So maybe a teammate, someone else that you notice in the league who you think would like kind of resonate the best with these characters. So we'll start off with, I put Captain Canada because it's CFL, but Captain America. Who do you think in the CFL would best represent that?
Captain America. Can I do Captain Canada?
For sure.
I'm gonna go Nathan Rourke with that one.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah,
My college quarterback, like true Canadian there. When every time I try to give him an American flag for photo day, he's got the Canadian flag draped around him, taking photos.
Nice.
So that's my captain.
See, and now if something doesn't work out down there, we hope it does for Nathan, but if something doesn't work out down there, you definitely got to put in some words for Rider fans here. All right, next we'll move on to Iron Man.
Iron Man. I'm gonna say Dan out of Boboye. That dude is just a worker, and I mean when you watch his highlights on kickoff, the dude just bounced off stuff like he's made of iron. So I mean, I gave him the nickname Dirty Dan just because he's not afraid of doing the dirty work. Like the work that some of these guys are too scared to do. He's gonna stick his head in there and he's my Iron Man.
I like it. All right, so now we got to go to the Incredible Hulk.
Ooh.
Who?
It's got to be somebody that has a
tough one. I know a lot of Rider fans were calling Micah Johnson the Incredible Hulk just because like how like huge and thick he was, right? But tough one.
I'm gonna go. I just gotta go teammates that I've had, just because I know their personality with Sean Oakman, just being freaking massive.
Yeah,
but just being a calm person until that switch is flipped.
Nice,
and then
nice. I like that. Okay, got a couple more here. So Spider-Man, obviously, elusive, fast, can get out of there. So who's your Spider-Man?
Jamon Leak.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah. He can get moving when he wants to, kind of slippery. That's what he wants. Seems like he's flying through the air half the time.
Yeah,
and you got a good one coming up here with Super Mario Alfred because he's yeah. All right, and last but not least, the Punisher.
Whoa.
Someone just on the field there, probably, I'm going to assume a defensive player, maybe an O-lineman, I don't know, but someone who's just out there punishing dudes.
The first person that came to my mind was when Witten McMahon, just because of his like reckless abandonment, just going into hits, and that's what I think I'm most excited about when I go play Toronto is going up against him. But then I would also say McLeod, Ethel Thompson.
Wow.
Because of the mindset.
I like it.
Like when someone's going against him or doing something that he doesn't like, there's a like I said, a switch, a flips, and Like, you're not going to stop him. Like, he's going to study harder than anyone else. So, yeah, I got those two people.
Well, it looks like you'll be against him week 1 in Edmonton.
I gotta have a word with the linebacker coach here in Sask. Hey, can you put me on a blitz?
Hey, were you always a running back? Or I love talking to players. Like, a lot of these athletes in the CFL, they've played everywhere on the football field. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, all through youth, I always played running back, but I played linebacker all the way up until high school, and then I went running back and safety. And once I got to college, it was just running back until sophomore year. We had some injuries. I get a call week 2. Hey, come into the coach's office. You're going to learn linebacker.
Oh,
So I played Mike backer for 2 games in college. And when I say that was the most stressful 2 weeks of my college career, getting up at like 5 o'clock to go study linebacker stuff before going to class, just to go to practice to do both running back and linebacker work. Like, learning a defensive scheme when you never really, played at that level, that was just different. But it helped me as a running back for sure.
Well, yeah, to understand, what those guys are doing. So there is some experience there. 2 games at the collegiate level if you do want to blitz McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Run stopper only, pretty much.
Right.
As a running back, I'd run through that hole, so let me fill it.
Yeah. Now, I kind of want to put this in. I think it would look good if there was some green tips at the end of the hair, maybe for temporary or a game or 2. Is that a option?
I've seen multiple comments on my post the last couple days on that. We're actually going to try some different hairstyles this offseason.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. I like that because I know Sheldon, he had made the bet with you on Twitter that if you won the Grey Cup last year that he was going to grow out that mullet. But now that
it's still coming. It's coming. Don't worry. I'm growing it.
Yeah.
Because we're going to win a cup this year.
Yeah, if they could sell a package with mullets at the Rider store, complete with the hammer, I think it's a match made in heaven. I guess pen to paper will happen next week, but in today's age of social media, we know that there's an agreement in place with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So, AJ Ouellette, congratulations on the new contract. Congratulations on a great career so far. And thanks so much for coming on the show. And we hope to see you on the field and in the ring in the near future. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Just to the fans, I'll be flying out to Sask 13th. Tuesday to sign my contract. I'll be there for a week, so I'm hoping the team gets me in front of the community for a little bit.
Yeah, they've already welcomed you, I think, on social media, and now to do it face to face with some good old Saskatchewan hospitality. And do you know what a bunny hug is yet?
I do not know what a bunny hug is.
So I don't have one, but you know the hooded sweaters with the pockets in Saskatchewan, that's called a bunny hug.
Okay.
And
There's
only
one tip.
People will fight you.
Bunny hug. All right. I need someone, whoever hears this out there, if they want to send me like a history and then just terminology on stuff,
Yeah.
I would appreciate it.
AJ, thanks so much for coming on the show, and safe travels to Saskatchewan next week.
Thanks for having me, man. Have a good one. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.